Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight we have a great show planned for you tonight. That was my group. I remember that from back in the day when I was a youngin'. Rolls Royce, I'm wishing on a star. So tonight we have a lot in store for you. There's a lot jumping off in the news as usual. And we're going to do something a little different. We are going to review the movie called Doctor Strange. So the title of tonight's show is Doctor Strange, Mastering Manafestation. So I am really, really looking forward to tonight's show. That movie really, really had a lot of jewels dropped in it. So with that said, I am going to bring on Brother Wendell. I think I see him in the queue. So let me go get Brother Wendell. Brother Wendell, are you there?
Yep.
How you doing, sweetie?
I'm all right, I reckon.
Okay. It finally warmed back up, right? After being really, really cold.
Yeah, it's up and down.
Yeah, that's something else. The first thing out the gate I wanted to talk about, and I know you probably heard about it, Brother Wendell. It has been a lot of rumbling going on in the, if you want to call it the alternative media, about this burst of energy that is literally hitting the planet. So did you want to start out with giving the family an update on that?
Okay, where you start?
Okay. Well, I was trying to look for the little article, but basically, here it is. I pulled this article off of Before It's News, so you know how it don't want to cooperate. So I have an article and a quick clip I want to play for the family. So the article, this is off of Before It's News. It came out on December 9th, and it's saying mysterious vibrations detected around the world. So it's saying 2 days ago, a 6.5 magnitude earthquake hit near Banda, Indonesia, killing more than 100 people. Yesterday, a powerful 8.0 magnitude earthquake struck off of Solomon Islands. Woo! We're going to have to talk about that real quick, which is the largest earthquake of the year, followed by an earthquake with a 6.5 magnitude off the coast of Northern California in, dang on it, Before It News crash. Okay, so let's talk about that Solomon Islands, because those of you that's been with Truth Uncompromised a little bit over a year, and I'm going to have to get Brother Chief Willie back on. He was a guest on every now and then. I haven't talked to him for about 7 months, but when he came on the show a couple times, he told us the key to knowing when Nibiru is in right at our solar system is when earthquake hits off of Solomon Island. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, SHIT. He said this last year when he came on the show several times. So you could go out on YouTube, on the Truth Uncompromised YouTube channel to check it out. Okay, so now, in addition to that, what everybody is talking about is the fact that there is a wave of energy that has hit the planet. Okay, and the tripped out part about the wave of energy is that NASA, never a straight answer, knew that this wave of energy was going to hit, but they were predicting this week. But it so happened that the earthquake started, so I guess the energy was coming in a little sooner, which is indication of a lot of magnetic pull on the planet. So I found a clip with this dude, it's this YouTube clip. I got so many clips, y'all. Let me make sure I get it. It's called Earth Receiving Burst of Energy. It's off of the YouTube channel by a guy named Tony. So it is about 12 minutes long. It's going to go into discussing this burst of energy. Before I play the clip, Brother Wendell, did you want to put something on it?
Yeah. I wish everybody would stop trying to predict what's going to happen and tell these people out here what's going down.
Very good point.
It ain't going to be, ain't no such thing as predicting when and what Nibiru going to do.
That's a very good point.
It tell these folks out here what's going down. But the hard part about that is, they ain't going to listen.
No, they're not. But, the thing that's tripping me out about it is the fact that now, the scientific evidence, as they call scientific, is backing up what, the prophecy has been stating, specifically with the earthquakes, the crazy weather patterns, and from a metaphysics perspective, this is all because of the pull, the magnetic pull on the planet, which is because of this solar system that's in our area. So I'm going to go ahead on and play this particular video. Now, see, I had the doggone video in my site. Oh, it's called Earth Receiving Burst of Energy. It's off of a YouTube channel by a man named Tony. I'll get it exactly once we finish the clip. It's about 12 minutes. Here we go, family.
Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here. It is 12:36 a.m. Central Time on Monday, December 19th, 2016. And I'm doing this re-recording, and I'm going to save this on my YouTube video channel for future reference, what I'm about to show you. Okay, take a look at the screen here. What I've just turned on here is something called the microwave background imagery from the MIMIC TPW out of the University of Wisconsin. And this normally shows total precipitation or total precipitable water vapor in the different storm systems around the planet. And it's derived from microwave satellite imagery. And what you're going to see on the screen here is not a storm of any kind that we would normally think of storm forming wise, like precipitation and water. What this is a planetary disturbance of some kind of global shock wave of some kind of energy that is working along the same bandwidth that the satellite is detecting in. The microwave background imagery at like 35 gigahertz or some large amount, very high up in the electromagnetic spectrum, observing this water vapor is detecting an energy return. This is not a glitch. This is not a computer error. We've seen this happen before, but on a much smaller scale. And when I say smaller scale, I shouldn't say it's too small. We've seen this happen before with X-class solar flares, but nothing like what you're seeing on the screen here now. And let me just show you guys really quick, okay? So we're over here, and let me take you over and show you something from my website, okay? Now, keep in mind, we're looking at the Mimic TPW right now. I'm going to open up a new screen, and you guys are welcome to search it this way as well. Search Mimic TPW Dutch Synth Solar. And what you're going to find is a few posts that I put out over the past few years where, when a solar flare is happening, a Earth-directed X-solar flare, for instance, that hits Earth takes like 2 to 3 days to actually emit those charged particles, and then they come to Earth. It takes a couple days to get here. When the charged particles arrive, what you're going to see on the screen here, and hopefully you guys can hear me and see me here. Okay? See this? Okay, the wave of energy hits. That's the X-class flare taking 2 days to arrive on the planet. There it is, zap. Then we start to have what's called missing data, which is a white area that'll show up. The reason we even used this system to begin with was back when we were doing HAARP research and radio frequency research, specifically in the microwave bands, that we were using this to observe man-made systems such as radar systems, high-powered ship systems that are out in the oceans, observing those using this system unintentionally. It's not an intentional use for it. The only reason it shows up, it's interferometry. It's interfering. There is a microwave signal on the same bandwidth emitted by the sun when the solar flare occurs. The charged particles hit the atmosphere, cause a reflection on the same bandwidth, and that's what causes this. And this was back from 2015, just one example. Okay? But we get over and take a look at the microwave background imagery for today, and you saw the X-class flare. This is so much bigger, so much more powerful. So it's way more powerful than an X-class flare hitting the Earth. And the reason it's taking this S shape across the Earth isn't because it's S shape. It's actually going around the whole planet at once within an hour or two of each other. This reverberation happened last night going up to 3 hours ago, and it probably is still going on right now. And you can see the wave shape that it's taking as it's going across the whole planet. Both sides of the planet are being hit at the same time, letting you know it's affecting the whole planet. And the amount of energy on this, I mean, I want you to think about this. A wave of energy that's returning on the 35 gigahertz microwave background imagery, ultra high frequency, beyond ultra high frequency, and it's showing up across the whole planet all at once. The amount of energy associated with that. For instance, a NexRad radar putting out a powerful microwave signal at 2.7 gigahertz. Okay, microwave, not ultra high microwave, but microwave. From, let's say, one of the states in the United States. All right? One of those is putting out 750,000 watts of power, and it doesn't even show up as a blip on this thing. So we're talking about large amounts of energy that would take to perform this amount of interference on the NexRad, or on the microwave background imagery that we're seeing here. And the NexRad example I just gave you is a perfect example because 750,000 watts is a tremendous amount of power radio frequency-wise. It's enough to cover a whole state or two states region. So when you're talking about this getting excited to the level that it's being excited over such a vast area, the energy potential has to go somewhere. So the electricity associated with that, let me dumb it down for everybody. Even a kid can understand this. There's a lot of electricity associated with this wave as it's scuffing its feet across the carpet of the Earth. Have you ever scuffed your feet across the carpet on a dry day and you store up electrons in your body and then you go touch the doorknob? Or if you want to play a joke on your spouse or your sister or brother or whatever, you go touch them on the ear and you zap them, right? With that little amount of scuffing across the carpet. Well, the same thing happens on a much more vast scale with the Earth and charged particles. And as particles scuff their feet across the atmosphere or the upper ionosphere or the magnetosphere, that actually scrapes the electrons out and pulls them down to ground. And instead of shocking your hand on the doorknob, that electricity goes down to the core of the Earth and shocks the core of the Earth. And the energy potential on that is huge. Now, I don't want to get into conspiracy. I don't want to get into crazy talk. I don't want to talk about all the stuff that people have been talking about online recently. This is the biggest dang coincidence in the world, if it is a coincidence. And I'm not willing to discount coincidence. But, look, guys, there's a giant wave hitting the Earth right now, showing up on the microwave background imagery, and you really got to wonder, what is causing it? It's not a glitch. Is it a practical joke? You know what I mean? Did one of the people at Mimic watch one of, BP's videos, and you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, we'll make a joke, we'll put it on there, and they put it on there, and they're sitting there laughing right now. I hope scientists don't do that, but this is something that we have to watch. Okay, we have to watch out for what? Well, we have to watch out for the potential of a large earthquake. If, and this is an if, I have to be willing to discount this as some kind of thing that's not going to have an effect, but if it were to have an effect, look at the amount of energy associated with that. If that did have energy associated with it, the amount would be huge. The amount of microwave energy combined to total that. So if that, let me put it in perspective. Let's say there was a man-made system of some kind of new ultra harp. They don't have it, but let's just say they made it, and they made some new breakthrough in radio frequency. And it emitted a giant pulse that was equivalent to 20 trillion megawatts of radio frequency power. That would cook everything around it for miles, and that energy would go to ground. And I dare say it would probably cause an earthquake if it was a man-made system, just doing it over like a country or something. But this is over the whole planet. Will it have a reverberation effect of some kind? A resonance effect? Will it excite the core of the Earth? I don't know. This is all new. I've never seen anything like it before. In 7 years of watching, I've seen all kinds of stuff on the Mimic. All kinds of stuff. Never seen anything like this before. Spanning both sides of the planet. Boy. So, there we are. It is 12:45 a.m. Central Time on December 19, 2016. I dare say we'll know in a week's time whether or not this thing has any effect. I mean, what's the turnaround time for that amount of energy to go down to the core of the Earth? It might be instantaneous. Or it might also take a few days. But I'm not going to discount it as a glitch, and certainly we need to pay attention to see if it has some kind of energy discharge effect. Will it excite storms? Will it excite volcanoes? Will it cause earthquakes? Or will there be no effect at all? But certainly we can't discount it. We have to be open-minded in science and realize that there's certain coincidences that do happen. But in this case, I dare say, a global coincidence where all the sensors, everything is messing up? No. Plus, one other thing I'm noticing here as the wave is going across the planet, as it actually stops on those last frames, you'll actually see it form into a dual wave over the West Pacific. And that would make sense if it's real because it's two waves and they're bunching up on top of each other. You see that? Like two sine waves. You guys ever use an oscilloscope and try to match or pair waves when you're repairing electronics or something? You got two electronics, you hook it up to the oscilloscope, you tune your oscilloscope, it brings the waves into alignment. Now this would be naturally speaking over the whole dang planet. One other thing I would like to point out also before I say this as a video. You see how the S shape is? I want you to imagine the space shuttle trajectory or the International Space Station trajectory over that very same area. And you know that the space station actually rotates around the Earth, right? Okay, and that's why it's shown in that S shape around the planet. Well, that's again, you got to imagine that this is going around all the planet at once. I wish there was a way I could get this overlaid on Earthquake 3D right now on the globe. Maybe there is, but I don't know any way to really match it, guys. But just look at it. I can guarantee you this. BP and the whole crew is going to have a field day with this, and I don't blame them. Because this one confirms kind of what they're saying. It's a global wave of some kind. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm the one who has to come out and say this. Because I was ripping on them so hard. Well, that'll teach me. That'll teach me. You know, okay, there I go. I learned my lesson. I will never mock or ridicule anything about anything anymore until I see proof of it. How about that? I probably should have held my tongue till December 26th, right? Oh, dude, what did I just... Okay, if it's going to hit in the next week, if any kind of earthquake was going to hit in the next week, it would be hitting by December 26th. Oh, my God. Okay, all right. We're going to end it there. I'm going to save this as a video. Get this out. Get the warning out, I suppose. Let people know it's going down. You can stand by it. It's not a glitch. It's not a computer malfunction. Maybe somebody's playing a joke on us at Mimic. That's the only thing I could think. Maybe somebody's got wind of that whole conspiracy online about the galactic wave and decided to have some fun. But other than that, I would dare say it's real. Unless somebody's messing around and putting this on the feed, it's real. And if it's real...
All right, family. So that was a YouTube clip called Large Wave of Energy from Unknown Source Hitting Earth Now. Possible Effects. The YouTube channel is Dutch, SINSE. So that was just one of many articles that I found. And even if you go to that video, you can skim the comments, and everybody is referencing a magnetic pull on the planet as well as a pole shift as the result of Nibiru's solar system. So not just the planet / spaceship, but also Nibiru brings several planets with it and also several moons. All right. So, Brother Window, did you want to put anything else on that before we move on? Oh, you can't because I had to mute you. Sorry about that, Brother Window. Okay, you back. I was getting feedback. I had to mute your mic. Did you have anything else you want to put on that?
Yeah. I mean, what are people waiting on? If you refer back to Gil Broussard's research, I mean, what are people waiting on? That plasma discharge for everybody to see it go down? Because that very well might be what that was.
You know, that's very interesting you say that, because I thought that, and as I was skimming through some of the comments just on this video and then some of the comments on several articles that I saw, people were also saying the same thing. And they also referenced his work and talked about, you know, the prophecy that most of us, well, anyway, folks that join this call have been talking about. And the fact that some still believe that was one of the reasons why the U.S. Corp and some of these other government agencies started building, or finished building rather, those, or restoring those underground tunnels.
Yeah.
So very, 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 very good point. Okay, so if you all want to join the conversation, just press 1 to get in the queue. Okay, so with that said, I am going to move on to the next story. Okay, the other thing that I ran across while on, want to say Facebook. Yeah, I think I got this from Judan, or maybe Jordan, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name right. I know we know just each other by speaking back and forth on Facebook, and you sent me this article. So this is from Nova Next, and the name of the article, the title of the article rather, is Galaxy's Disk of Dark Matter Could Trigger Mass Extinctions on Earth. So the article goes in to say approximately every 35 million years, a comet careens from outer space and lays waste to the Earth. For nearly 2 decades, researchers at Harvard have attempted to understand this periodicity of mass extinction. Now, in a paper recently submitted to Astrophysics Journal Letters, 2 Harvard graduate students used the 250 million old crater record to show how a disk of dark matter surfacing the galaxy could spark mass extinction. Most scientists agree that the observable stuff in our galaxy, concentrated in a disk, is surrounded by a diffuse halo of dark matter. But some maintain that a portion of dark matter exists in a separate condensed form of a dark disk, located both on the top of and within our own flat galaxy. Now, y'all peep that they said flat galaxy, so peep that. So, it's the relative movements of our galaxy and this disk that may trigger events that lead to mass die-offs. There's a cycle in our galaxy. The solar system bob up and down through the plane of the disk-shaped galaxy. We're pulled up toward the plane. We go through it, we overshoot, we go back, said Michael Rampino, professor of biology at New York University. The folks at Harvard are proposing that there is a thin disk of concentrated dark matter, and the solar system moves through it every 35 million years or so. Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest of the article. Again, you can find this on a website called Nova Next, actually PBS.org. And the name of the article is called Galaxy's Disk of Dark Matter Could Trigger Mass Extinction on Earth. Now, why is this article so important? Well, let's start with the fact that any time you hear in their scientific community, and when I say they, I mean mainstream media, the term dark matter, that always means melanin. Okay? Bottom line, they know that this universe and other multiverses, or all multiverses, are made up of high concentration of melanin. That's what sustains and brings forth life itself, and light. Okay? So that's number one point to me sharing that article. Number 2 point for me sharing the article is the fact that master teacher Bobby Hemmett told us back in the 90s that an Oort cloud, O-R-T cloud, they were going to call it Oort, O-R-T cloud, was going to come into our solar system. And that cloud was going to worry them because it was going to contain a lot of dark matter, and they were going to be talking about extinction. And just know when they talk about dark matter or that Oort cloud, they are speaking of melanin. And what that means is a shift in the age, going into a new cycle. The vibration of our universe, of our planet, will change. And anyone that is not in tune or on that frequency, that is what they are referring to on that mass extinction, quote, quote. So I found that article quite interesting coming out of PBS. And then we headed to the point where we now are seeing this huge burst of energy across the planet. Now, to me, none of that is coincidence. So with that said, I'll yield Brother Wendell in case you want to put something on it.
Appreciate you, brother Hemmett, because Hemmett was on the money for years before he had that stroke. Everything he talked about, you can go back over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Exactly.
Everything he was talking about been manifested.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And here's the thing. What we have to realize, and we're going to get into that a little bit tonight, but we've been talking about it over the last month or so, maybe even 2 months. When we talk about manifesting things, when we talk about journeying into these other multiverses, when we talk about astro travel / astral projection, a lot of our master teachers, specifically I know Bobby Hemmett, discussed it a lot, where he has went to these different realms. He's seen into the future. He's been given information. I know Brother Saban has talked about it heavily, and then our late ancestor Dilbert Blair talked about it as well. So now we are starting to see a lot of these things come into fruition. And the scientific community is slowly starting to leak it out, but it's leaking out real slow. And it'll be to the point where we'll damn near be looking up in the sky and we're going to see the stuff before they admit it. But they are slowly starting putting out even more information that backs up what these master teachers have taught based on either their studies or what they have literally experienced. So very, very, very good point. Let's see, we have, okay, do we have, not sure if you got, I think you have your hand up 256. Let me bring you on, 256. 256, your line is open.
Oh, I was hoping I was not going to be first. Amir in Alabama.
Hey, sis, greetings. How are you?
There goes Superstar Caller.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Wendell.
What's on your mind, sis?
I'm going to rehearse for my acting position. I'm going to pretend that I'm deeply in love with Wendell.
Oh my God.
Here we go. Oh, you got your hands full, Brother Wendell. Go ahead on, Sis Amir.
Oh, Wendell, you're just so wonderful. I can't wait to be able to look into your eyes to see what color they are.
They're brown.
Was that good? I need some lessons, don't I?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, and just so you know, when I finally met Brother Wendell in person, and I was with a group of people, and specifically women, and boy, it was quite a few swooning over him, and I was just cracking up because he's, like a brother to me. So, when he left, we called him just to tease him, just to make sure he was okay on the road, and we were teasing him like, "Hey, Wendell." So you got a little competition there, Amir.
I don't mind competition. I'm my best when I compete.
I know that's right.
Anyway, hey, sis, when you coming back on the show? Is that Sister Divinity we missing?
Yeah. She'll be back. I'm not sure when. Maybe around the January she'll be back.
Anyway, you rest up, enjoy your downtime, because we miss your input and your wonderful, beautiful voice.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, sis, it's like, tune in to Truth Uncompromised, and who do I hear? I hear all these wonderful people all over the country. So Wendell is hanging in here, and thank you, Wendell. Appreciate the info that you be dropping. I'm learning so much. It's coming so fast, and I wish so much I could continue to speak on the wonderful benefits of being indexed. I wish I could.
Oh, no, you ain't going to do that.
You
can't speak of that fraud on my show. So you know how I feel about that. It's not going to happen. So go on Dr. Henderson's show. Make him open up his queue. Make him open up his queue to talk about the benefits. But on Truth Uncompromised Media Network, you will not discuss that fraud of a system on here. So no offense to you, but it ain't going to happen.
No offense to me. Like I was saying, I wished I could, because what are we talking about? We're talking about this burst of energy. Do you know what I was reading on the internet? I didn't even know that guy had dropped dead out on the ice rink with his little son. And his older son is a singer, got the same last name as him. And he was he became famous being on a sitcom as a father figure. And he was only 69 years old, heart attack.
Robin Thicke's father,
yeah.
Alan. Yeah,
Alan
Thicke.
Alan Thicke just recently passed away, out enjoying the day with his son. I was watching a video where this burst of energy, how it affects the magnetic pull. These cars just start doing flips for no reason that we, with our normal mind, right? But thank God there's info out there that's coming from calls like yours that's informing us. And like I was saying, if I could share a benefit, that's one of the protections that we have, that covered benefit, because we're getting galactic protection that other people are not sharing in. So that was one of the benefits I'm informed of. Others, this pole shift, 5, these bottom states supposed to be totally underwater with this pole shift, including Alabama.
Well, you know what, Sis Amir? It's interesting because when Chief Willie was on last year a couple of times, and remember I told you he said the trigger would be Solomon Islands.
Yeah.
And he said when that quake hit Solomon Islands, that is the start of massive earthquakes that's going to shake up, which are going to cause tsunamis, which are going to change the landscape of the East Coast. So when I saw that Solomon Islands it was 8.0 earthquake last week, my mouth dropped open.
So where are you? Are you down in Florida?
No, I'm up in Ohio now. But I go between Ohio and Georgia.
Your neighbor's supposed to disappear, Illinois, but Ohio looks like it's going to be okay. Yeah, the whole state going to disappear. Alabama, all of us down here, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, okay? So you sitting up there in a safe area, and I'm talking about I wish I could speak on certain benefits. So one of the benefits is
No.
Remember the guy on the roof waiting to be for God to save him on the roof with the flood?
Okay, Amir, you know what? You're not finna get on my show and talk about no fraudulent benefits with Dr. Henderson's
the guy on the roof
system.
For the flood.
So
that's a joke.
Go to Dr. Henderson's show and discuss that. You're not gonna discuss that on here.
You're not gonna let me finish the punchline.
No.
Right?
No,
because
you've been trying to get it in for indexing, and I'm being patient with you, and I don't support it. I don't want it discussed on my show.
All I was going to say was,
do you have?
If I was on that roof and I don't get that helicopter, then I'll agree with you.
Okay, so then you do what you do. You wait your ass on that roof for that helicopter. I wish you well. I totally wish you well. But I certainly won't be waiting on SOV CPR to send me no helicopter. So that's all I got to say about that.
Right. And then moving on, the other one, the guest you had on a couple of weeks ago, I hope he's coming back real soon because I didn't get to ask my question because I was busy trying to transport somebody back and forth to work.
Yeah, you were in the car driving.
That show was so good. I mean, that brother is on the moon compared to.
Yeah, he's pretty heavy duty. So yeah, I'll be working with Brother James to sync up his schedule to have him come back. Absolutely,
that would be great. So thank you again for letting me chime in. I wishing everybody much success, happiness, and health, and can't wait to see what 2017 is bringing.
Okay, sis. All right, beloved. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Okay. Alrighty. So anybody else that want to put something on it, press 1 to get in the queue. Okay. So with that said, let's move into financial news. Whew, a lot of stuff has been jumping off. Specifically, today I saw something, and I want to say Brother Shaker. It was Brother Shaker. I saw this on his Facebook timeline, and it about took the wind out of me. It is basically saying that China is in negotiations to buy the Chicago Stock Exchange. So this article came out of CNN Money on December 1st and 15th. China clears key hurdle to buy Chicago Stock Exchange. So it says China just moved a step closer to acquiring one of America's oldest stock exchanges despite security concerns raised by some in Congress. This week, a U.S. panel, hold on a second, family. Okay, sorry about that. You know, now they have you open up an article and I couldn't find where the hell the music was kicking off, so it was distracting me. Okay, so this week a U.S. panel that examines foreign deals for potential national security concerns cleared the purchase of the 134-year-old Chicago Stock Exchange by a China-led group of investors. The Chicago Stock Exchange said the Committee on Foreign Investments in the United States decided there are no unresolved national security concerns over the deal, which was first announced in February. A U.S. Treasury spokesperson declined to comment. I bet they did, citing policy not to disclose information about specific cases. Representatives for CFIUS did not respond to a request for comment on the news, which was first reported by Reuters. The acquisition by China's Chongqing Casin Enterprise Group still faces SEC approval. If cleared, the deal would give China a foothold in the vast American stock market, the largest in the world. The struggling Chicago Stock Exchange is far smaller than the NASDAQ and the iconic New York Stock Exchange. Earlier this year, it accounted just for 0.5% of U.S. trading. Still, some lawmakers raised concerns about Chinese investors buying into the U.S. equity market. Dozens of members of Congress wrote a letter in February urging the deal receive tough scrutiny and get blocked if the buyer had close ties to the Chinese government. The Chicago Stock Exchange transaction was proposed during a different atmosphere. Since then, President-elect Donald Trump and China have clashed over the U.S. position that Taiwan is part of one China. Beijing has said it is seriously concerned by Trump questioning this long-standing policy. Trump has also accused China of devaluing its currency, even though Beijing is spending heavily to keep the yuan from falling too quickly. Trump was very critical of China's trade tactics during the presidential campaign, threatening to slap a 45% tax on Chinese goods coming into the U.S. If the Chicago Stock Exchange deal is cleared, it won't be the first instance of a foreign tie to a U.S. exchange. In 2007, NASDAQ merged with OMX, a Nordic exchange, becoming NASDAQ's OMX group. The exchange has since changed its name back to NASDAQ. The Chicago Stock Exchange is minority controlled by a group that includes Bank of America, E-Trade, Goldman Sachs, and J.P. Morgan Chase. Okay, so there you have it. Pretty much all of the U.S. Corp's stock markets have been bought up. There was rumors that even the NYSE had been purchased by Germany. I haven't seen anything in public on that. You heard that NASDAQ has been purchased. Now you have the Chicago Stock Exchange. Now, here's what I've been kind of reading over the past, say, going on 3 years now. These banks are insolvent. So part of their pay up to all of these nations that they owe money to that they can't pay, a lot of them have been land or buildings. We know that J.P. Morgan Chase had to, quote, sell its headquarters to a Chinese investment company. And we've seen many other deals like that. We found out that Goldman Sachs had to give up their seats on the New York Stock Exchange. And now we're seeing that the Chicago Stock Exchange is being bought out. So don't let that fool you, although that particular article put a spin on it saying that, the U.S. Corp is concerned about security. No, they're not. They don't give a damn, because if they was concerned about security, they wouldn't have got into debt owing all of these nations, money, specifically China. It's not about that. Now is the time where they've defaulted on the debt. That includes the U.S. Corp and its faulty treasury bonds, as well as these insolvent-ass banks with their Ponzi schemes, and now it's pay-up time. So now they are coming after their hard assets. And what better asset to come after than the stock exchanges? So I'll yield, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it.
I want to add something to it.
Absolutely, go for it.
I ran across an article, maybe a couple of days ago, 2-3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me, is a telltale sign that something is going down, because in this article, they talked about it was either Dollar General or Family Dollar buying a bunch of Walgreens and Rite Aid stores.
Really?
To the tune of something like $95 billion.
$95 billion?
Yeah. Now, if you take a look around, there's a bunch of Dollar Generals and Family Dollars popping up everywhere.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So, in other words, what's happening to these two big-time pharmacy retailers is they're liquidating.
Dang. So they're buying up their locations, Brother Wendell?
Yeah. It was something like, if I remember correctly, it was something like 876 stores.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. So yeah, that's a telltale sign. Yeah.
So and they don't have draws.
Right. Well, I think Dollar General had. Well, no, not the pharmacy, but Dollar General and them had draws. They may be irregular, but they got them. Yeah, they do. They irregular in the mug, but they got them. You want that?
Hey, tell you folks, y'all better be paying attention. Something's going down.
Exactly. And we've been screaming this for the longest, and I know I was kind of tough on Sis Amir, but, this is just one example that, I'm not waiting on nobody to come and do a damn thing for me. You better get prepared and make arrangements yourself. But Dollar General, they do sell drugs, but you do have to be extra, extra slim to get in them MFs. But they do sell them on occasion, and so does Family Dollar. I'm just saying, you a mess, Brother Wendell. You a straight up mess.
Yeah, on a serious note, folks, pay attention because it's going down, and we don't know what this thing is going to look like. We have no idea.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. I didn't cut you off.
Take that little fiat and go do what you got to do, because I'm telling you.
You better believe it.
At some point, you ain't going to be able to do that with it.
Yep. And to show you how it's jumping off, and if you want to join the conversation, family, press 1 to get in the queue. To show you how it's jumping off real deep. Dang, it's 8 o'clock already. Brother Wendell, why Venezuela shut down its border? Because of a cash crisis. So let me get this article. I know. And folks.
They might as well, because look, the position they're in, they know.
No.
If anybody is coming there, foreign to that country, they coming to take it over. They ain't coming to help them.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting because I saw
they might well close. They might well shut the borders and get their stuff together and try to help each other and keep these folks from coming, because that's the only reason somebody coming is to take it over.
That's interesting that you say that, because I was reading another article about some bank having to pay some fine, and I like to skim the comments to always get an idea on how the particular people are digesting the article. And one man said, quote, that the European nations and the U.S. court purposely overthrew Venezuela and, what's the other country that was having cash problems? Brazil. Purposely overthrew their regimes to try to keep controlling them because they had broke away. Well, Venezuela never played that because, Hugo Chavez, he wasn't playing that. Okay, so they had bumped Hugo off, and Venezuela's been on a downward spin ever since then. Brazil, they got rid of their particular leader on some charges because she had partnered with China and Russia for BRICS. So what you're saying is very, very true. They better keep their asses out of there because the vultures are circling. These folks are trying to save their empire any way they can. They're trying to pull together forces to compete with China and Russia. They're not being successful at it from an economic standpoint, but nonetheless, that's what they're trying to do. So let me go. We do have another caller. I'm going to bring the caller in before I start this article. This is area code 734. 734, your line is open. Uh-oh, maybe you didn't want to be in the queue. 734. 734, going once, going twice. Okay, I'll put you back on hold. Okay, so we're going to do this article before, and then we'll go ahead and jump in the main topic. Okay, Venezuela, this is out of RT News. This came out on December 13th. Venezuela closes border with Colombia to combat cash smuggling. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has closed the frontier with Colombia for 72 hours to prevent the smuggling of banknotes due to be removed from circulation. Don't this sound familiar? Didn't we just talk about this week before last? when they pulled the same shit in India, where the folks woke up and they had pulled some damn banknotes from circulation. Okay. The border only reopened in August after being shut for a year. On Sunday, Venezuelan authorities said that the 100 Bolivar banknote would be withdrawn and replaced with coins of the same face value within 3 days to crack down on organized criminals operating on the border. Now, doesn't that excuse sound very, very familiar with what India said, except India was saying that it was a lot of black market money and people were avoiding paying taxes. Okay. So on the official exchange rate, the 100 Bolivar, I could be pronouncing it wrong, banknote is equal to $10. But on the black market, it has fallen to about 0.02. So I'm going to say that again. Exactly. I'm going to say that again because we have been screaming this to you all forever. Brother Wendell just told you, get your damn pack of draws. On the official exchange rate, the 100 Bolivar banknote is equal to $10, but on the black market, it has fallen to about 2 cents. The government also plans to print 6 new bills worth between 500 and 20,000 Bolivars starting on December 15th. Okay, so it's the 22nd, so they done already reprinted they shit. The move is a part of Maduro's plan to brittle raging inflation. We talked about that. When a currency collapses, hear this well. Start looking for the signs. When a currency collapses, inflation is inevitable. Okay? So no different here. So according to them, they done pulled the little banknotes, this, that, and the other, reprinted some new ones because they trying to combat inflation. And so it's choking businesses and making the notes hard to find. The president said 64 million of the notes has been seized from people trying to sneak back into the country. He adds an investigation has revealed that billions in the notes are stashed by U.S.-backed mafias in Colombia and Brazilian cities. Okay, so there they want to throw that shit in there. What the hell do that have to do with they got doggone currency collapsing? That's really the issue here. Their currency has collapsed. They have inflation. So in other words, you may walk in the store and then a loaf of bread damn costs $15 to $50. That's what's really going on here.
That's why they print them 20,000 notes.
20,000 notes.
What the fuck? What I mean,
it almost makes you want to FNSB.
Okay, let's do a little math on that right quick. They claiming a black market, right?
That's what they claim. Same shit they claimed in India. Yep.
Well, hell, the actual market is the black market.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? Now, 20,000 at 2%, as what? $400.
Yep. $400 for 2 MF cents.
You know what I'm saying? That's insane. You might
so imagine how much a loaf of bread you would have to pay for a loaf of bread.
So, look, if hyperinflation is gonna cause all of that, you may well keep the same notes and just let the people know it's gonna take a whole lot more of them to get whatever you're trying to get, rather than print some new shit and it still work the same thing.
Right, but those are the mind games, or they call themselves playing on the people.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this article like, excuse my language to some that get offended. They got to be bullshitting me. You mean to tell me that you going to try to blame it on mafia folks sneaking up in the country when the real problem here is your total economy has straight up, unevitably collapsed? That's what's really what the problem is here.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hypothetically bring that up here and see what happens.
Please do. Please do, so people can get a clue. Please do.
Hey, it's going to be off the hinges. Because if you wake up one morning and that quote-unquote new currency, did you see that new currency they talking about being printed?
Yeah, I saw that circulating too.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I kind of got a little hint through the wind that when they issue it, you're going to have to take a 50% haircut of whatever you got. Mm-hmm. So that means if you got $1,000 in the bank, you ain't got for $500.
Right.
When that hyperinflation hits that shit, you might not
that
have.
Still ain't nothing. Exactly.
You might not have a $5.
Exactly. Because somebody tweeted on the little Venezuela situation that the raggedy ass IMF predicts a 700% inflation in Venezuela this year. And shit, this year we only got a couple of more days up in this year.
Hey, I've been telling y'all for a long time, you better use that shit while you can use it.
Use it wisely. Stock up on what you need to stock up on.
Yeah.
Stop living in a fantasy world thinking somebody going to fucking come and save you, because it ain't going to happen. Learn to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, one thing for sure is this. If you had, like I said, just for an example, if you got $1,000, you ain't got for $500, but when that inflation hit that shit, you might not have $5.
Right.
So I would rather take this fiat and do what I got to do now, therefore maximizing the use of it.
Right.
And when the shit hit the fan, I don't have any of it. So if I get my hands on this new shit, at least I have full value of what I got.
Exactly. You got your supplies stocked up.
Yeah.
You straight. While everybody else panicking, running to the store, pulling shit off the shelves. You straight. You just sitting back. You got your hammer in your lap in case somebody try to come up in your shit.
Oh, shit, I got clubs, machetes, and every fucking thing. You get your ass cut up. That's what you gonna get. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you. So I'm definitely not trying to be the cloud of doom, but we got to start living in reality and looking at shit for what it is. You know, I don't see how people can continuously sit back. You see these other economies literally just straight up collapsing. You see where other nations, the stronger nations, the Chinas, the Russias, are coming over here, buying up shit that we never thought would be bought up. You already been told that goods aren't moving in on the port, but you think that it can't happen here. And you think somebody is going to come and save you. Okay. keep gambling. So, that's all I'm trying to do is just make you all aware and, again, say be self-sufficient. You are your own savior, nobody else. So, all right, with that, I know we're about 15 minutes over. I'll go into the article next week, but I did see an article talking about that Germany and France are in the process of testing out a digital currency. So we're not going to have time this week because we do have a time limit to stay on to get some of this information in. So that's just another indication that this economy, this Western economy, has literally collapsed. And now you're seeing where these other countries are printing new notes. So that's equal to a reset. That is the reset. So with that said, did you have anything else, Brother Wendell? Oh, we have a call. You have anything else before I open up the line?
No, go ahead, Logan. Go ahead and take the call.
Okay, 773. Okay, let's try this.
Hello, Rhonda, Wendell. This is Jade from Chicago. How you guys doing?
Greetings, beloved. I'm well, brother. How are you?
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Like I commented before, I love you guys. I love your show. Listen, about this currency situation, since the dollar bill is going to be cut in half, is it wise to get silver?
Look,
if you can get it.
Look, it's like this. It's like this right here. Now, this is just my personal opinion on how the U.S. court operates. If you buy silver, they have a record of that.
Mm-hmm.
And chances are, shit hit the fan, they're going to come confiscate it.
Ain't that what they did in 33 when people had to turn their shit in, when they had to turn that gold in?
Same game. So, like I'm saying, whatever fiat you can get your hands on that, use it to get yourself some supplies and some non-perishables or whatever it is that you eat. You better use this stuff while you can, because it's going to come a day when you ain't going to be able to use it. And if you can use it, you ain't going to have enough of it. A slice of bread might cost you $5. You understand what I'm saying?
It's close to that now. But, and the fact
the
to
food
mention,
is through the roof.
Yeah, it is through the roof. And not to mention, brother, Sister Cheryl on Facebook just said, if not 2 days ago, she went to the bank to get some gold coins. They were out. Now, she's not the first person. They have been having a shortage of gold coins, and last year, silver coins, they couldn't even keep them in stock. So I'm tending to agree with Brother Wendell. Go ahead, brother.
I can give you a tip on how to get some silver that might not be confiscated.
Oh, I'd appreciate that.
Save every nickel that you can get your hands on. A nickel has a higher content than any coin of silver.
Really?
Yeah.
Even now, huh?
Yeah. It has a nickel has a higher content of silver than any other coin. So if you want to get, I don't know how the hell you go get it out of there if it comes down to it. At least, you understand what I'm saying? at least you have some silver. It may not be in the same form as other stuff, because the other stuff might not be true silver anyway.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's true. It's got more silver content than a silver eagle.
I'm talking about not just. Well, see listen to what I'm saying. That silver eagle might not be true silver. But
yeah, I know that.
In order for that nickel to come out the way it comes out, it's got to have that silver in it. And a nickel has a higher content of silver than pennies, than dimes or quarters, or silver dollars.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I used to. At one time, I had a bunch of nickels, and I had built me a little calculator on my computer to calculate the weight of a roll of nickels. I can't, but I had all that stuff before my computer come up missing. But yeah, it's true.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I'm gonna let you guys move on.
Go do a little research on the silver content of the coin.
All right, will do.
All right, beloved. Well, peace and love, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Peace and love to you both.
Okay. All righty. We have 111 holding. So I'm guessing that's an anonymous caller. Let me bring you in. Anonymous caller, your line is open.
Peace and love, Miss Rhonda and Brother Wendell.
Peace and love, beloved.
Miss Rhonda, I was wondering if you had a playback number yet to listen to the conference call after it's has been broadcast.
Yeah, with Blog Talk, there is no playback number. You have to do it online, either through the internet link or you can go on YouTube. It takes me a couple days, even sometimes a week, to get the playbacks on YouTube. So with Blog Talk, you cannot call in and use a playback number like you do with free conference call.
Okay, I see. Because I was really interested in the gentleman, the guest you had on 2 weeks ago, because he has.
Oh yeah, he was the bomb. Yeah, so I would suggest definitely that one is on YouTube, so you can either go to Truth Uncompromised YouTube page to listen to that, or you can come to Blog Talk Radio and listen to it that way. But either way, you have to have an internet connection to do either.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know, and you're doing a good job.
All right, beloved. Well, good to hear your voice, brother. Okay, I appreciate it, brother. Okay, peace and love to you. Okay.
Yes, take care of you. Mm-hmm.
All righty. Okay. All right, so that's all of the calls. So we are going to go ahead on, but anybody else, if you have something to put on it as we're discussing, just press 1 to get in the queue. So we're going to go ahead and get into tonight's topic, which is we're reviewing the movie Doctor Strange. And really, to me, that movie was about mastering manifestation. Okay, so Doctor Strange is a Marvel coming out of the Marvel comic books. He goes back pretty far as that particular character. Let me pull up my notes here on him, and we'll get it cracking here. Let me see, where's Doctor Strange? Okay, he even has his own little Wikipedia page, so let me pull him up just to give you some history on his particular character. So bear with me here. I thought I had this little link in my notes. I guess not. Okay, so Doctor Strange is a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, created by artist Stephen Ditko and writer Stan Lee. The character first appeared in Strange Tales issue number 110, cover date July 1963. A former neurosurgeon, Strange serves as a sorcerer supreme, the primary protector of Earth against magical and mystical threats. Debuting in the Silver Age of comics, the character has been featured in several comic book series and adapted in a variety of media, including video games. Oh, I didn't know that. An animated television show and films. Inspired by storytelling of black magic and Shandu the magician, Strange was created to bring a different kind of character and themes to mysticism to Marvel Comics. So, needless to say, I was very surprised when I went to Wikipedia and saw that, you know, even back in the 60s, they had threw dude up in there and what the purpose of his character is. So this particular movie, it opened up with this guardian who was in a library, and he was listening to a raggedy-ass Britney Spears song, and he was surrounded by these dudes, like coming out of another dimension into the library where he's at, and so they attacked him immediately, and they killed him, okay? So what they went in the library to get, they went to get this book, and they got this particular book, and they tore some pages out of the book. So immediately I'm looking at this scene, and I'm thinking, oh, this is interesting. I wonder if this library references some type of Akashic record system. So as we go a little deeper into it, we'll discuss that a little bit more further. Okay, so they done killed the little guardian in the little library, snatched these little pages up out of this book. They jumps into another realm after they get what they want. And so next thing you know, other people jump into the realm with them, and then they started fighting. So specifically, this character, they're calling her the Ancient One, jumped into the realm. Now, this is the thing that is going to trip you out. Not only the fact that they are opening up these dimensional realms, they're jumping in and out of them, but when they jumped into this realm to fight, they started bending the matter. So, like, what was up was down, what was side. So anyway, they wanted the particular matter to bend. That's what was happening in this particular realm as they were fighting. So the Ancient One was in there throwing down with the dudes that had killed old boy in the library, and then who jumped through the realm with the stolen pages about the book. She in there fighting with them in this realm, and they're like bending matter all type of ways. So I guess they felt she was getting the best of them, so they opened up another portal, and they jumped through it, closed it up, and escaped. Okay, so they got away. So when the Ancient One couldn't get through that portal because they had closed it back up real quick, she opened up a portal, leaving out of the realm that they was fighting in now, back into the quote regular physical realm, or our realm. Now, what tripped me out with that is because she showed up in the realm, and it's like nobody else saw her enter. They just walking along the street like la da 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 da. But one person, and it was just a real like half a second scene, saw her do that shit, walk through that realm, and they looked at her like, what the blank? And she just kept walking down the street. So I saw that was interesting as well, because I'm like, well, was that only person out of all the people that was walking on the street That's what 1% saw her walk through that particular realm. So that was interesting. So in the meantime, they cut to Dr. Strange himself. Now this what blew my wig back, y'all. He's in the operating room because he is a surgeon by trade. Guess what dude is operating on? He is operating on the medulla oblongata. So literally, right. I'm like, oh man, it's finna be on. This movie finna be on. I can't believe that. 248, you're on the line. Were you all able to hear me, or was I like on mute?
It's like you was on mute. I ain't heard nothing.
Oh my God! I went through the whole thing and looked down, and my damn thing was on mute. I cannot believe this. Anyhow, I'll open up 248's line, and then I'll go back to what the hell I was saying. Oh, that pisses me off. 248, your line is open. Okay, 248, going once, going twice. Okay, maybe you didn't go on mute. Okay, Brother Wendell, where did I drop off? But now it makes sense why when I called you and asked you, did you want to put something on it?
You was talking about Dr. Strange was doing a surgery on Abdullah whatever.
Yeah, the medulla oblongata. Okay,
yeah,
I went through the definition. I went through the physical definition, the spiritual. Oh, that pisses me off. This damn thing. I was on mute like a mug. Okay, I'm gonna go through it again. So I'm gonna give you the physical definition of what it is, and I'm pulling this off of Wikipedia, and then we're gonna talk on the spiritual side. Can you still hear me, Brother Wendell?
Yeah.
Okay, shit, now I don't trust it. Okay, so the medulla oblongata is located in the hindbrain interior to the cerebellum. It is a cone-shaped neural mass responsible for automatic involuntary functions ranging from vomiting to sneezing. The medulla contains the cardiac, respiratory, vomiting, and vast motor centers, and therefore deals with the autonomic functions of breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. The bulb is an archaic term for the medulla oblongata, and in modern clinical uses, the word bulbar is retained for the term that related to the medulla oblongata, particularly in reference to medical conditions. The word bulbar can refer to the nerves and tracts connected to the medulla, and also by association to the muscles, such as the tongue, the pharynx, and larynx. Okay, so that's the physical definition of it. If you want to know physically where this particular function is located, hit the back, put your hand on the back of your skull, run it down. When you feel that soft spot, through there is where your medulla oblongata is located. Okay? Here's why that's so important from the spiritual perspective. Those of you that are familiar with Masons, you always hear them talk about the 33rd degree. When they are speaking of the 33rd degree, that is what they're stating. That is the highest level, that medulla oblongata. Okay? That is the highest level that they are allowing those particular folks to get to the 33rd degree, blocking them from the highest conscious level. Because now if you think about it, if at the back of your, underneath your skull is that one particular piece, if you go up higher, you're getting into the pineal gland area. So that's what the 33rd degree in Masonry represents. This is the highest level we are allowing these particular group of folks to go. They are masters of the physical functions. We are reserving the higher consciousness, going up to the pineal gland area, the Christ consciousness, that is reserved for our inner secret society, the mystic sciences or the metaphysics that we discuss here and what the master teachers also taught. Okay, so that's what the medulla oblongata represents. So, Brother Wendell, did you have anything to put on that before I continue?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I can't believe I was talking my ass off and y'all didn't hear all that. Okay, so the only other thing on the medulla oblongata that I found interesting when I was looking at the spelling of it, it made me think of a few words. I thought for some reason of Mary Magdalene, which, it was rumored that she and who they call the Christ really were in a relationship. They had children. So I always thought of gateway, the woman being the gateway, bringing forth, for us coming into this realm, you're entering through a woman's gateway, and that whole Christ consciousness connection. And then I also found where in India there is a port called Mandala. It's very closely spelled to medulla, and that's what it is. It's a port, an entryway, a gateway. So I found that interesting that particular culture even used the etymology of that word, mandala. Okay, so back to Dr. Strange. So he up on the operating table, operating on this patient, pulling the bullet out of his medulla oblongata. Okay, so while he's doing that, first of all, it was another doctor that was supposed to perform the little surgery. So Dr. Strange humiliates this other doctor in front of everybody. They up in the operating room. He's removing this bullet. And so the other doctor had pronounced this particular person dead, and Dr. Strange jumped in, took over, humiliated the man, pulled the bullet out. So that's the first indication in this movie that we see that Dr. Strange is very, very full of himself and his ego. And it was the first indication that we see that his gift are his hands. Okay, so after that, he starts to clean himself up or whatever, and his little lady friend confronted him and said, you didn't have to be so nasty with dude like that. You shouldn't have humiliated him, woo, this, that, and the third. He basically brushed her off like whatever. He should have did his job correctly. So he goes, cleans himself up, goes to the crib, gets snazzed up to go out to kick it, I guess. Gets in his, I forget what car it is. I know whatever man saw the movie, y'all know what damn car he was in. It was a bad car, driving on some California hill. He gets a call, and looking down at his phone, he gets in a car accident and goes over this cliff. He's pretty bad off. So next thing you know, you see a clip. He just jacked up. So he wakes up, and the first thing he does is looks down at his hands. They all bandaged up, and he's just straight up, just flat out devastated. So his little lady friend that had checked him about his behavior was giving him an update. And, he was like, what about my hands? What about my hands? She said, well, they did operate on them, this, that, and the third. Well, you need to get specialists, woo-woo, this, that, and the third. And so bottom line, dude went through like 7 surgeries. Because remember, he's a surgeon himself. He went through 7 surgeries trying to get his hands corrected. Because remember, he's a surgeon. That's his gift. Okay, so next thing you know, you see him sitting in front of a physical therapist. A melanated man now. Physical therapist, trying to get his hands back together, whatever. So he's sitting there with an attitude, And he was like, oh, I know this how bad off my hands are. I'll never be the same. Ooh, this, that, and the third. And so the melanated man told him, he asked the melanated man, have you ever seen a case like this where somebody has had a full recovery? And the melanated man said, well, actually, yeah, I have seen a case like this. I only know of one person, and that healed from an injury this severe. And so then Dr. Strange was like, no, you didn't, man. Come off of this, that, and the other. And so the melanated man said, can you pull the file for me? And so the melanated man said, you know what? I'm going to pull that damn file for you because your attitude is so rancid just to prove your ass wrong. Okay, so again, in that particular scene, we see that Dr. Strange's ego is in play. But what was very, very interesting to me is that this melanated man, that 9-ether being, was the first to introduce to him, yeah, I know somebody else who healed from this. Okay, so he gave Dr. Strange the file. Dr. Strange goes and tracks the dude down that healed from it, that had a severe injury like him. But this dude's injury was a back injury. So he finds the dude on the basketball court. And it was my guy who used to play on Law and Order, Spanish guy. So I'm saying to myself, okay, now we got like I can't remember if Spanish folks are 7-ether or 8-ether. Anyhow, so he confronts Benjamin Pratt. Benjamin Pratt, that was the actor. I don't even know what his name was up in the movie. So he approaches Benjamin Pratt on the basketball court and was like, yeah, man, I heard that, you had a severe injury. How did you heal? So the guy was looking at him, was like, well, why do you want to know? I really want to know, blah, 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 been in this car accident, blah, 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 blah. And so the guy told him, let me tell you something. It's not going to be, very important point. So the guy was like, what you say your name is? Well, I'm Dr. Strange. He said, yeah, I remember you because I came to you when I jacked up my back and you turned my little case down. But how's it ironic now that you coming to me asking me for help on how I got healed on the same injury you turned me down for to operate on me? So I said then, okay, so they're giving him a dose of a law of karma, okay? So the guy went on and breaks down, and he told him it's not going to be what you think it is. He said, but how did you heal him yourself? He said, I went to some gurus. What do you mean, a medical community? No, it was no medical community. I went to some spiritual gurus. And they taught me how to use mind elevation. And I used my mind, and then my body healed itself. And he said, but I'm going to tell you something. If you call yourself, and I'm paraphrasing all this, y'all, you call yourself going up in there speaking to these gurus. Now, this is the direct quote from the movie. The cost is high. And so Dr. Strange said, because Dr. Strange asked him how much did it cost for him to heal. So Benjamin Pratt said the cost is high. And Dr. Strange said, well, how much? So Benjamin Pratt said, I ain't talking about no money. So he goes up to this particular location to go search for these gurus. So he's all in this other nation looking for these gurus, asking around in the foreign land. He all jacked up with his hands. So he somehow walks down some alley, and some men start to mug him. And, of course, he couldn't really fight them off, so they was beating him down. And so all of a sudden, this melanated man had on, like, it almost looked like a Jedi outfit to me, with the hood, or you could say Jedi outfit or a monk outfit. So the melanated man came in the alley and beat the dudes down because the dudes had snatched Dr. Strange's watch, and he took the watch back from them. Okay, so I thought again, okay, here go another melanated man. How they gonna use him in this? So the melanated man said, yeah, I heard you're looking for Shangri-La. I think that's what they named the place, Shangri-La. And he said, yeah, you know of it? Yeah, he said, I'm looking for the guru. And he said, yeah, I know of it. He said, well, can you take me there? Yeah, I could take you there, this, that, and the third. So he said he took them to the place, and before they walked through the door, he said, you know, you need to be ready because the Ancient One doesn't mess around pretty much with foolishness. So then Dr. Strange was like, well, I'm not here to waste his time. So they walked through the door, and so the melanated brother said, by the way, the Ancient One is a woman. And he was kind of shocked by that. So they walked through the little door, and the Ancient One, the woman, now this is the same Ancient One lady that fought off the dudes that snatched up the spell out the book from the library, and they was jumping in dimensions at the beginning of the movie. So she appeared, he had his little tea, and so he was telling her what he needed, this, that, and the other. And so he was saying, I heard you had healed dude from a back injury, this, that, and the third. How did you do that? And so she basically told him, well, I didn't do anything. The body did it. The body convinced itself to heal via the mind and the spirit. And so he was, of course, standing there looking dumbfounded like, yeah, okay, whatever. I need you to tell me how you did it. So she's still repeating the same thing. And then in the meantime, she shows him a chart of the chakra system. So, and literally, it was the chart with this particular photo of a person sitting in a lotus position, and they're showing each chakra meridian up the body. And so she asked him, have you seen this before? You know what it is? And he like, yeah, I've seen it on website or whatever, but I really don't know what it's about. And so she starts telling him just at a real high level about the chakra system and the power of the mind and the spirit world. So he's standing there looking at her like, you know what, this is a bunch of bull. I can't believe I done came up here to hear this bull S. So, of course, she's feeling his vibration and feeling his ego and him standing up here talking this shit in front of her face. So they standing face to face. So next thing you know, she like takes her hand and jabs him in the chest, and his astral body jumped out, and his physical body was still standing up, but the astral body fell on the floor. And he saw that, and he's like, no, I'm hallucinating. There must have been something in the tea that you get. No, it ain't nothing in the tea. So he's still on the floor talking shit, and the next thing you know, his ass got teleported into another dimension, the spirit realm. So he like floating around, and it's almost like he was in deep galaxy space because it was all these gases and stars around him. And so he like floating, looking around like, WTF, what's going on? And then this butterfly in the midst of all this shit going on floats past. So I started chuckling to myself because, again, our master teacher, Bobby Hemmett, put me up on game through one of his lectures on YouTube, saying that a lot of times when we're seeing butterflies, it indicates a few little things. Number one is indicating that you are going through a spiritual transformation change. And then number two is indicating that you are entering another spiritual dimension gateway. So I just kind of fell out laughing for them to put this up in this movie with him in another, literally, realm and this butterfly floating around. Okay. So he's like there, like bouncing around, trying to get his bearings in this other dimension. And then all of a sudden, he was like teleported again real fast. And what tripped me out, this time they showed him moving fast through the teleportation tunnel. And we had just talked about this on this show a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about astral projection and traveling, because they showed him going through the portal, and it was like this blue and white light as he was hauling ass with his astral body through this portal. Okay. So then it showed him as he was going through this blue and white tunnel that he was coming through a black hole. And as he came out of the black hole, the flower of life was like behind him. And so I found that very, very interesting, because we also talked about a couple of weeks how the shapes, the geometric shapes, are also a part of the natural laws of the universe. So I found that very, very interesting that showed up as well as he's coming out of this black hole melanin. Okay, let's not forget that as well. Okay, so finally, after he brought his raggedy ass back before the regular realm, or if you want to say the 3D realm or the current realm, back into his body, of course, he was like freaking out. And so the Ancient One told him, this is where mind and matter meet. Thought shapes reality. Now, those were her exact words in this movie. So I kind of just like tripped out. And so I picked up that they were showing this particular realm to show where that concentration of melanin is where these powers are. And so the Ancient One said that dark places are where there are powers that are older than time. And then she also goes on to say, who are you, talking to Dr. Strange, who are you in these multiverses, not universes? And we had just talked about multiverses also. And so, Dr. Strange just freaked out by this time. So I'm going to pause in case Brother Wendell, you want to put something on it. And anybody else that has any comments, questions, press 1 to get into the queue. If not, I'll continue on, Brother Wendell, if you don't have nothing you want to put on it.
Go ahead.
Okay. All righty. So he's Dr. Strange standing up there looking dumb after he had this little experience. And so then it hit him, because after he asked her, you put something in the tea? And she's like, no, I ain't put nothing in the tea. So then it started to hit him that this quote, quote, spiritual stuff is something to it. And so then he was asking her, well, can you teach me? Can you teach me how to do what you just did? And she said no. And then they threw his ass back out on the streets. So so dude, the melanated man, said to her, the Ancient One, now, Dag, don't you think you was a little hard on him? And she said no, because his ego is out of control. He's not ready. And I'm not going to waste my time with another one that has ego coming into play that's going, jack stuff up. So then he said, well, you worried about dude. And that was the dude that had stole the pages about the book. And she said, well, a little bit, sort of. So basically he said, well, just look at me, for example. I came here a hot mess. And look, I learned to lose my demons. So this is what really was interesting. What the Ancient One responded to him. She said, we never lose our demons. We only learn to live above them. So basically, Dr. Strange just kept hanging around the little place to try to get back in. He was like outside trying to be persistent for them to let him back in. So finally, the Ancient One had a change of heart and told the melanated man, and I'm going to start calling him the teacher, told him to let Dr. Strange on in. We're going to teach him. So he let him in, and so he brought him in the room, and he told him, brought him in his bedroom, and he told him to go ahead on and meditate if you know how to meditate. And so he gave him this card, and on the card the name Shambhala was on there. So we're going to pause just a little bit and talk about that particular word, Shambhala. They spelled it Shamballa. Now, immediately when I saw that particular word, I remember out of Dr. York's El Holy Tablet that he talked about our particular son was named Shambhala. Okay, that was the ancient name of our son. But Shambhala, Shambhala, is a Tibetan Buddhist and Hindu tradition. And you can spell it both ways, the way I spelled it with the LLA or the HALA. There's many ways that they spell it, okay, because many different cultures use this particular name. Okay, so in the Chinese culture, it is a mythical kingdom. Okay, and then they talk about it being mentioned in different texts, ancient texts, including Tantra, and also them speaking of this different land or this ancient sacred land. So the particular Shambhala, I know you all seen this before, because if you study Tibetan stuff or you just see it a lot in meditation, spiritual realm, it is also a shape associated with it. You either see it as a flower of life, or typically the way you see it with a circle, and then inside the circle is a square. And some people call that the mandala. Okay, so I immediately knew what time it was when they gave him that particular word, Shambhala. Okay, so he's in there, and then eventually he starts being taught. So the first thing they start to teach him about is language. And they told him, quote, language is known as many things, but language is also known as spells. It's also known as source code. It's also known as programs. Language, you also can use the energies from the multiverses to create. So we talked about this on the show when we did about the secrets, sacred of geometry and how you're manifesting with your thought into speaking, and that's how you create. So I found that, and how language itself casts spells. That's why we have to be careful when we are speaking things. Know what you are speaking on, what your intent behind something is, because you will bring that into existence. That's part of the natural laws or laws of attraction. So I found it very, very interesting that in Dr. Strange, as he's being taught by, I'm going to call him the teacher, that's the melanated brother, and as he's being taught by the ancient one, they are giving him the basic principles of natural law. And they gave him a very important principle that he can tap into the energies from the multiverses, not just this universe, but multiple universes to create. So as they're teaching him this, then they started, the ancient one, literally with her hand, she creates that same mandala symbol that I was talking about, the circle, square in it, and then you see the other like a cross, which is also known as the mandala or the flower of light symbol. So, of course, Dr. Strange, he's taking all of this in, but he's still not really getting it. He's still not really understanding. So the next scene shows where he goes into the library. So this is the same library where I think they're kind of semi-referencing Akashic records, because there's a lot of ancient literature there. And that's the same library where the dudes had jumped up in there, took this particular book out, and stole some pages out. So Dr. Strange is up in the library asking the librarian any recommendations he had. So he's kind of looking around. And so the librarian asked him if he knows Sanskrit. Now let me drink my water. Sorry about that. So now, as we were studying the Lost Book of Enki, and when we were on the creation story myths, we talked about all of the different languages and how the particular galactic or Anunnaki had changed the languages. And so a lot of people think that Sanskrit is like the oldest language. So I know why I was brought up in this movie, because Sanskrit is always referenced to the Tibetan culture. But we know that the oldest language documented on this planet is cuneiform. Okay, but I do just want to throw that in there, that again, when they was pulling them ancient texts, that the librarian asked him, did he know Sanskrit? Okay, so Dr. Strange was looking up and down the library, looking at the little books, and so he came to this row of books that had these literally chains on each individual book with a lock on it. And so he was like, what's up with this? And so the little librarian man said, well, that is the Ancient One's private collection. And he said, oh, well, is it forbidden for us, to look at it? And so the librarian said, oh, no. No knowledge is forbidden. So I'm going to say that again. No knowledge is forbidden. So he told him pretty much, yeah, you can read the book or whatever, but he was basically trying to give him an indication that the book was going to be way above his head. So the particular book that he picked up was The Study of Time. And that's the same book that dude and them that broke up in the library has stole a spell up out of. So, Dr. Strange took the book, but in the meantime, he was also still heavily in training with the teacher, the melanated man, and it was other folks there, not just Dr. Strange, learning how these mystical powers. Okay, so the other thing about that book, the librarian told him that this book of time, they also, you were able to conduct spells and access a dark portal. So I did want to throw that in there as well. Okay, so in this spiritual school that Dr. Strange was in with a couple of other students, they are literally learning how to open up portals, creating spiritual weapons. And of course, they got to learning how to use the weapons and using Kung Fu for the weapons. So Dr. Strange still got in his mind, because his hands are jacked up, he can't open up this portal. Now, everybody else, all other students, they opening up portals big time. Opening it up, creating different symbols, jumping through the portals, coming on back, this, that, and the third. He just getting a little spark. His mind was blocked. So the Ancient One saw this, so she talks to him and told him he needs to silence his ego, and he will get it. So in other words, she's trying to tell him, you trying to open up these portals, you think, based on the power of your physical hand, because that was your gift. And since that physical gift had been taken away from you, your mind is blocked out that you can do it with your mind. It's not about the physical hand. So he was still like, well, I don't get it, this, that, and the third. I can't do it, this, that, and the other. So then she said, oh, okay then. She opens up a portal on his ass, push him through the portal. She jumps through the portal. So they wind up on top of this big-ass mountain, and it's cold. And he's like, oh, my goodness, this is beautiful. What is this? She said, oh, this is Mount Everest. And he's like, what? And she said, yeah, people die up here within, I think she said 5 minutes. She said, but knowing you only going to make it to 2 if you make it to that. Find your way back. She jumped through that damn portal, closed that shit up. So he on the mountain like, oh shoot, I got to make my way back. So he remembered her telling him, focus. So he's focused and trying to get it. So in the meantime, the Ancient One and the teacher, the melanated man, they back on the other side, like with the watch. And so he getting close to this 2 minutes. So the melanated man like, man, let me just go on and jump through and get dude. She was like, hold off. And then all of a sudden you see him open up the portal and jump back in. And so he finally got it. He focused, and he was able to open up that gateway. And as he was opening up that gateway with that hand, he finally got the connection that it's the mind that controls everything. So he opened it up, and I just made a side note that when they were in school, in this spiritual training school, as they were opening up these portals, they always did it with the left hand. And we kind of talked about that on the show a couple times, where the left side of your body is the energy, the gateway for energy coming into your body. So that's the strongest side of your body from an energy perspective, especially on the spiritual side. So those of us that's right-handed, isn't it interesting that we're being taught and the indoctrinated that the right side of your body is the strongest? But literally from a spiritual perspective, all energy enters through the left side of your body. So that's the strongest point of your body. So I thought that was interesting that they even showed in the movie, in order for everybody to open up them portals, they were doing it using the left side of their body. Okay, so by this point, you know, he's starting to feel a little good about himself, this, that, and the third. And so he strolls back to the little library, and this time he asks for books on astro travel. So the little librarian man was like, kind of chuckled, like, man, you sure you ready for that? He said, yes, I am ready for this. So the librarian gives him the books on astral travel, so he starts studying. And so they showed him one scene where his physical body was laying in the bed, and then his astral body was sitting on the front of the bed, reading a book, studying, eating an apple. So that was referencing him starting to master astral travel. And we talked about this on the show when we did the show on astral travel, how practice makes perfect. Astral traveling is using your subconscious mind, but you are aware that you are doing it as you sleep. You are aware of your astral or light body being in the spirit world and your physical body still being on the physical plane. So that scene is particularly showing how Dr. Strange is mastering that. Okay, so he's feeling a little good about himself. They show him astral traveling. They show him knowing now how to open up portals, and he's, still learning, in the mystic school learning. So in the meantime, because he is constantly studying out of this library, he starts questioning like all of these rules. He like, y'all keep talking about all of these rules. That's really fascinating to me. Okay. So, and those rules are going to become important as we get through this, get a little further down into this. So the next important class that they had was with the Ancient One. And so she opened up this dimension, but except it was mirrors. So they standing there, and then all of a sudden these mirrors surround them. And he's like, well, what is this? She said, this is the mirror dimension. We use this dimension for a few things. It's mainly used for protection, and it's used for you to be in a training ground. So as you're training in the spiritual realm, this is a form of protection, these mirrors. And the other reason why we use the mirror dimension when we're training, because when you are in the mirror dimension, the real world cannot be affected by what happens here. Now, interestingly enough, anybody that has either studied astral projection or dimensional traveling, or you have experienced it, a lot of times mirrors are involved. You either see yourself standing in the mirror, either jumping through the mirror, or you see yourself standing in the mirror, changing or going different places or changing different forms. So I was told by, I can't remember which one of my older relatives told me this, that's why they don't sleep with mirrors in their room, because they felt that they got a restless night. And so as I started studying metaphysics, some folks say that these particular mirrors, depending on if they're older mirrors or not with Mercury in them, may have particular beings trapped in them, this, that, and the third. So I just found that very interesting that they gave us the spiritual reason and the spiritual importance of mirrors. And I know me personally, I have experienced many times. Matter of fact, I just experienced it 2 nights ago with jumping through a mirror. So I thought that was really, really interesting. So if you want to get in on the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue. Brother Wendell, did you have anything else to put on it before I continue on?
Yeah, 2 points. You brought up the word Mandela.
Mandela.
I thought about that. Yeah, I thought about that Mandela effect.
Yep.
But even a greater point than that, if the left side of the body gives you the ability to open portals, when that left hand is raised, look at what they do to you when you take an oath, or if you're in court or something like that. They want your left hand on the Bible and the right hand. They're doing that intentionally to keep you from getting that from getting that energy.
Wow. That's interesting.
I was part of a study group at one time, and we got invited to a meeting, and the person that invited us to a meeting talked about that, and what this person said is, when you're in court and they tell you to raise your right hand, you're actually supposed to raise your left hand. Because what the judge is looking at is a mirror. So to him, when you raise your left hand, you're actually raising your right hand.
Whoa!
That's how deep the indoctrination is, and what they are actually using.
Wow.
See, that's
deep, brother. That's deep.
See that, and in respect to the languages, that's a language within itself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So they are blocking you from using your spiritual powers.
Right. And they know that.
And they know it. Absolutely, they know it.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's deep. That's really, really deep. Thank you for that, brother. I will never look at raising your right hand in a jurisdiction court the same again.
Right.
Wow.
This thing that we're in is a whole lot deeper than we could even imagine. It's a whole lot deeper. Absolutely.
So, thank you for that, brother. That's deep. That's deep. So, also about this mirror dimension, that I want to say that, she also say that the mirror dimension can be used, not only do they use it to train, okay, because remember it said it's a form of protection. The real world can't be impacted by it. And then she also said that the mirrors can be used to contain threats. Okay, so the first thing I thought about, all of you all that seen Superman, remember when Jael, because that's Superman's father's name, Jael. Notice that L, y'all. But anyhow, the dude that had was trying to overthrow the little council because that particular planet was getting ready to be destroyed. They stopped them from overthrown, but they had to come before the council for their sentencing. So their sentence was to be imprisoned. And what they imprisoned them in was a mirror. They put the three of their asses in that mirror, and then the mirror got like flung out into space. So when she said, the ancient one said that the mirror is also used to contain threats, I immediately thought back to that scene in the Superman movie. Okay, so what they are calling what Dr. Strange is being trained in, they are calling it the mystic arts. And so then she started to open up to Dr. Strange about dude who had broke up in the library and stole the pages up out of the Book of Time. So I'm going to call him the Rogue One. And so the Rogue One studied up under the Ancient One. He was a very, very good student. So he was bucking the system, and he left. And he left with some people also. Or she said he left with his disciples. And that he was using false doctrine. So I said, oh, hell to the no. Are they trying to play the fallen angel story out, giving us a little snippet of the fallen angel story that was bucking the system and took some of their folk with them because they didn't want to follow the set of the natural laws or the universal laws? So I found that really interesting, or the fallen angel story. So the next thing, when they, as their Dr. Strange and them are going through their mystic arts training, they had to all get a relic. So a relic is like their spiritual weapon that they are going to master and use in order to fight. And so you saw the other particular participants that's, or students rather, in the mystic art, they all like had gotten a weapon or whatever, and they show one particular student that you could literally see as he was creating different things, you would see energy pop out from his third eye. And they would literally show at the middle of his forehead the symbol of the third eye pop out, and then whatever he was creating came into existence. Okay, and so Dr. Strange was had not found his relic yet, but he was doing very good and mastering, jumping through the portals, this, that, and the third, and he was also heavily in that library studying. Okay, so next thing you know, because remember he had checked out the Book of Time, the same Book of Time that the Rogue One had stolen little pages from. So dude was studying that book, right? So he goes up in the library and he saw this relic laying on this stand. And so the relic, to me, was shaped like a third eye. It had a bunch of other like lines and stuff on it, but I could clearly see where it had an eye in its symbol. So I'm like, okay, that's representing the third eye. So Dr. Strange had picked up that relic, and so he opens up the Book of Time. And so once he opened up the Book of Time and he had this relic, he started opening up this gateway, or you thought it was going to be a gateway, but literally it was a symbol. And so then what he started doing was, with the symbol and the spiritual symbol that he had created with his left hand, he had put this apple in front and he had a piece off the apple. Now, he got the Book of Time in front of him open, okay? Remember that. So he sits the bitten apple in front of him. He takes the third eye physical piece. He created this symbol with his left hand. And so all of a sudden, he starts turning this symbol with his left hand a certain direction. Then all of the apple would be eaten. Then he would reverse it back, and then all of the apple would come back like it hadn't been bitten. So you are seeing where he had learned from the particular Book of Time how to change time, because that's what he was doing. He was showing the apple being all the way eaten, and then he would reverse out the apple into its full self. So then he had the book sitting in front of him, and he had wound up putting the pages that was ripped out of the book back into the Book of Time. Soon as he did that, remember, these were the missing pages that the Rogue One had stole up out of the book at the beginning of the movie. So soon as Dr. Strange had put them back using the spell, this device that he had created, the spiritual device, a mirror immediately just contained. And so that's when the melanated man, the teacher, and the librarian hauled ass. And they were like, What did you do? What did you do? You created a threat. What did you do? He said, I didn't do anything. All I did was I put the pages back in the book. And they said, you put the pages back in the Book of Time? He said, yeah. And so the teacher, the melanated man, told him, you cannot do that. You are manipulating time. You're playing with natural law. And he like, hold up. What do you mean I can't do it? It was up in this book. That's where I learned it at. Well, don't you see that's a threat? That's why the mirrors popped up, because they're trying to contain this particular threat. And they were like, well, you have to tell me more information than this. I'm just new to this. Now, I'm just doing what was up out the book. So y'all have to come clean to me. I don't even know what I'm training for. You need to tell me right now what's going on. So then what he did, they said, okay then. So basically, they was telling him that the Avengers are the protection of the physical world, but they protect the spiritual world. And the Ancient One, she goes back thousands of years. Now, this is a direct quote on what the melanated man, the teacher, said. He said, we are sorcerers. So they start showing him doors to these doors appeared. And so they were doors to different cities. And he said each particular important city, and it was 4 of them, and I don't know why I could not pick up all of them. I know it was London, New York, Hong Kong. I do not know what that damn 4th city was. Anyhow, that there is a sorcerer protecting each one of those gateways to those cities. And then they showed a symbol of, they showed the planet, and they showed a symbol of these meridian lines, spiritual lines all around the planet, and saying that the sorcerers also protects all around the planet, because there is a shield, a form of shield over Earth. So they breaking all this down to Dr. Strange, and so all of a sudden, this alarm goes off, and they're like, oh man, it's a breach in the London Gate. And so next thing you know, Dr. Strange gets pushed into another dimension, and then he winds up being in New York. Okay, because I think he was in Tibet. He was studying in Tibet with the Ancient One in them. So he gets pushed to this dimension in New York. So he went through the New York gate. So all of a sudden, these folks start coming after him to fight him. So, you know, he been in his little spiritual training school, so he fighting with dude and them, this, that, and the third. And so while he fighting them, this melanated man runs down the stairs, and he fighting with Dr. Strange against these other folk. And so the rogue one, the man that had stole the pages about the book, he appeared, and he kills the melanated man. And so again, just a side note, there go another melanated man. Important part, that 9 ether. So that melanated man that was killed was the protector, or the sorcerer, the protector of that portal in New York. So then Dr. Strange had to start fighting with this man. So in this room, he fighting with the man and the man's people, and he creating different weapons, and they're fighting with him, and they're in the room with relics, and they breaking shit up, and he's picking up the different things, because he, in his mind, he knows that these are relics. So he's trying to find which relic or spiritual weapon is going to work for him. And all of a sudden, he fighting, and then he backing up against the wall, and it's this cape. And the cape chooses him. The cape jumps on his back, and he like, what the heck? So the cape starts helping him fight off the other people, effing up the other little people, this, that, and the third. And so during the fight, the cape had grabbed him, turned him around, and showed him how to grab this other relic, and flung him back, and he threw it on the rogue one, and it like locked his ass up in metal, and so he suspended in air. On his knees rather, so he trapped. So the rogue one like, I need to talk, because his mouth was bound, so he mumbling. So I guess Dr. Strange like, what the hell he got to say? So he opened up his mouth. So the rogue one starts telling him, man, you don't know what you doing. And Dr. Strange like, I don't know anything about this. I'm just new to this. And he like, yeah, man, I know, because, we're out here trying to grant immortality to everybody. And we are using the powers, we're harnessing the powers from the dark force. And we're talking about using powers that are a world beyond our time. And this can save everybody. And the Ancient One just don't want us to use this power, this, that, and the other. She the one placed the sentence on us not being able to use the power. And I'm here to tear all of that down so we can access the dark forces. Okay, so just to back up, they're referring to the dark forces. The Ancient One told him that the dark forces always wanted to get to planet Earth. It was always special to everyone. And this particular dark force, everything that it comes in contact with, it destroys. It consumes it. So that's what the sorcerers were not only protecting against other threats, but the main threat was this particular dark force entity that just basically likes to consume and take over particular universes and worlds. So then the man, the rogue one, still talking shit as he's bound up. And so he was basically saying, yeah, and by the way, you think the Ancient One is good and this, that, and the other, but she even accessed powers of the dark forces, or the dark. And so Dr. Strange was like, I don't believe you, this, that, and the third, this, that. And so he let his little guard down. So dude has some type of way mentally created a dagger, and so he stabs Dr. Strange. So Dr. Strange had to, the cape starts kicking the guy's ass while it's still on Dr. Strange's back. But in the meantime, Dr. Strange crawls back to the portal that he opened up a portal. He jumped through it. And then the portal that he jumped through to the hospital that he used to work at. And so it was another one of the guys from the Rogue One's crew that because Dr. Strange was stabbed, he didn't close up the portal. So dude that was fighting him with the Rogue One's team, he jumped through the portal too. So in the meantime, Dr. Strange back at the hospital where he worked at, and so he called for his lady friend, and she like, what the hell? I ain't seen you. What's the matter? So he said, I need you to patch me up, and just you, because she a doctor too. So she takes him in this room, and she was like, I've never seen a wound like that. He's like, I know, but I'm dying. I need you to work on it. So she working on fixing him up, and so he Astro projects and jumps out of his body, and she saw it. And he's like, don't be afraid. She's like, I don't know what's going on. So she keeps working, but in the meantime, dude that had jumped through the portal came to continue fighting him. So they're in their astral bodies fighting each other. Now, she didn't see all of that. She just felt the wind passing her face as he duking it out with dude, as she operating on his physical body on the table. So the guy was kind of getting the best of him. So Dr. Strange went back to her subconscious and said, I need you to shock my heart. So she's like, what? He said, shock my heart. So she took the little, shock the heart things, revved up the machine, and shocked his physical body heart. So that gave him more strength. He was fighting off the man. She said he asked her to shock it again. He's talking to her with his astral body, but he's talking to her subconscious. So he asked her to shock him again, and she's like, he said, shock me again. It's not going to hurt me. I'm dying. So she shocks him, his physical body again. That gives him enough power to continue to F the man up. Okay, so then after that part, so I'll stop just in case you have something to say, Brother Wendell, or if somebody has something they want to put on it, press 1 to get into the queue. So, Brother Wendell.
I would like to see if you caught what you said after I made the comment about the judges and the oaths.
Mm-hmm.
You basically confirmed what I told you when you mentioned that about the mirrors.
Yes, because I caught it when you said it, that it's a mirror to them when we're standing up, and I'm like, hell no, this is deep.
Yeah, because also along with that, you have to, I don't know how many people know this, but those judges are actually playing 3 roles.
Mm-hmm.
They are playing the magician,
yep,
the sorcerer, and the high priest.
Yep.
But if you ever see, if a judge ever leaves that bench and goes back to the chambers and comes back, he's coming back in another capacity. And he has 3 shots. He has 3 shots to put you in that mirror and imprison you in that mirror.
Damn. Say those 3 roles that the judge plays again, because that was extremely important.
The magician, the sorcerer, and then the high priest.
That's pretty much.
Yeah, he can leave that bench twice, but when he comes, if he comes out as a magician the first time, if he can't beat you, he'll go to the chamber. He'll come back as the sorcerer. If he can't beat you, he'll come back as the high priest.
And it makes sense because he's using that what you call that thing that they hit on
the gavel.
The gavel as his wand.
Yep.
So very, very damn, that's deep. That is extremely deep, Brother Wendell. Very, very much so deep.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that the teacher in this Doctor Strange set of events is a brother, a melanated brother.
Absolutely. But remember, all throughout it was a brother, a melanated brother, that told him about Benjamin Pratt, because Benjamin Pratt is, he's Spanish, told him about him being healed. So then it had to be another higher ether to lead him to Comatas was the name of the place. That's the name of the place they called it, Comatas.
Yeah.
That led him to Comatas. Then it was another melanated brother that had to literally teach him.
Yeah.
And then the woman had the higher order of spiritual power. So I'm sitting here like with my mouth open like, wow. They really putting a lot in this movie.
Yeah, and now if you take that place called Comatas, could that actually be the state of being comatose? Because see, you're on a whole nother level. You on a whole nother level when you comatose.
Yeah, because it's totally subconscious then, right?
It's totally subconscious.
Wow. Yeah, that was the name of the place because I wrote it down. I didn't have it on my front page, but the page I'm on now, the name of it is Comatas. Yep.
Yeah.
Hell to the
no. See, you have to remember that a language is being spoken when you use different words. Just like you said.
Wow. Ooh, that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep, brother. Thank you for that yet again. Damn.
Yeah, these words are they are the utmost of importance.
Yes, they are, and that's why early when the Ancient One was telling him about the importance of language, how it casts spells, it's for manifestation, it's for programming, source code, and I'm sitting there with my mouth open. I'm like, how many times on the show have we talked about you have to think it, see it, speak it? That's how you create it.
Yeah.
We say that all the time.
Yeah, and you have to also keep something in mind when you're taught in elementary school on how to spell. They don't explain it to you.
Nope.
But they're teaching you how to put a spell pretty much on yourself.
Absolutely. How to cast spells. Absolutely. That's exactly what they are teaching you. And that's why it's important as much as you can to enter and understand the etymology of words. And as you are speaking, you are speaking with your conscious and your subconscious mind with a specific intent.
Yep.
so you don't cast spells on your damn self.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very good, important point, Brother Wendell. Very, very important point. Okay, so he comes out of surgery, because remember, after he had kicked dudes behind in the Astro world, he jumps back into his body. He comes out of surgery. Christine patches him up or whatever, this, that, and the third. So then he has a conversation with Christine. That's his lady friend's name. And he apologized to her about how nasty he was to her and his arrogance, this, that, and the third. So in that particular scene, you are seeing where he is cleaning up the karma that he has put out there, trying to rectify it. That's number one. Number two thing you are seeing in that particular scene, again, where he has learned to deal with his ego, not to let his ego get the best of him per se, to block him for things that are of his own benefit. So another thing I want to mention, that relic that chose him, the particular cape, is known as the cloak of levitation. That's what he was told, and they said that particular relic was a very good choice, and they were surprised that relic chose him. Okay, and so when he was able to go back to comatose, as Brother Wendell said, because he left the little hospital, this, that, and the third, after he apologized to Christine, opened up a portal, went back to comatose. So then he given a story on what happened to the Ancient One and the teacher. And so they were like, yeah, we were attacked. The London Gateway has fallen. We see where you defended the New York Gate. What happened? And then they saw him in the cloak. They were like, what? The cloak of levitation chose you? And by that time, the Ancient One had walked up. So she was asking him what happened. So he was telling her that he had ran up on the Rogue One. And he said, I'm going to tell you now, the Rogue One is able to fold space and time in the real world. And he's doing it outside of the mirrors. And so the Ancient One was looking like, dang, he didn't really got deep up into this spell book, the Book of Time. And so Dr. Strange tells the Ancient One what the Rogue One said about, her being a hypocrite and how she's getting her energy from the dark side. Okay, and so she was standing there again like, damn, now he gonna go up and tell my little business. So the teacher, the melanated man, was looking like, what? She doing what? No, that ain't true. Dude was lying. So he looks at her like, Ancient One, come on and dispute what dude is saying. And she didn't dispute it. So the melanated teacher, he looking like, damn, I can't believe this. You drawing power from the dark side. And so at this point, Dr. Strange is just freaked out about all of it. He's like, look, y'all, I don't think I want to be. Oh, so they tell him, you are now the protector or the sorcerer. You're the protector of the Gateway in New York. And he like, hold up. I ain't trying to be involved in all this. I didn't sign up for this. Y'all didn't tell me all that was involved, this, that, and the third. I just came to heal up my hands. And yes, you all taught me a lot about the spiritual realm. I didn't sign up for this. I done killed a bunch of people messing with y'all. This ain't what I signed up for. I'm a physician. I'm supposed to save lives, not take lives. So the ancient one, the melanated teacher was like, man, you think any of us signed up to be killing people? Don't you know we done told you we trying to protect this particular universe? We protecting this planet, protecting these different gateways. So he's still going on and on about what he didn't sign up for. So the ancient one stepped in and told him, look, it's not about you. When are you going to find your purpose? So Dr. Strange standing there looking all dumb. And so in the meantime, the melanated man, the teacher, he's still fired up about her, that she not disputing or denying that she was pulling powers from the dark side. So he like, now I really don't appreciate you harnessing powers from the dark side when you're breaking some of the natural laws. And she was like, well, you know, sometimes we have to break the laws to do what we need to do. And he said, let me tell you something. And I'm going to use this saying a lot. I loved it. He said, and what's going to happen when the bill comes due? And so she just kind of stood there like, yeah, well, you know, she was hearing them, but then again, she wasn't backing down from what she was particularly saying about harnessing those powers from the dark side. So before I go on, if anyone has anything you want to put on it, press 1 to get in the queue. Brother Wendow, did you have anything you wanted to put on it?
No, good.
Okay. All righty. So basically what happened, they wind up again getting an alarm that another gateway was being broken into. And they like, oh, man. So in the meantime, they jumps through and starts, so this is the Ancient One and the Melanated Man, Dr. Strange. They jumps through, and the Rogue One and a couple of his crew, and I think they were still in New York because they came back to New York. And so, but this time the Ancient One was with them. So they started all three fighting them. And then she saw where the Rogue One bending matter or space and time. So literally, now they in the physical realm this time. They weren't in the spiritual realm like the first time when she was fighting them. They were in the physical realm. And she saw where he was making up, was down, side was that, and he was walking all on the sides, and he was opening up geometric shapes and having them drop through and trying to kill them. And so basically she pulled out her weapon on they ass and started knocking his people down, killing them. And so the Rogue One and her stood in front of each other, and, you know, she was getting ready to F him up. And so he threw back up in her face of her harnessing the powers. And she like, look, don't even bring that bull crap to me. You all teamed up with that dark force dude, and you just don't know what you have gotten yourself into. You don't know what he's capable of. So don't even bring to me about me going to the dark side to get powers, this, that, and the third. You don't know what I've been through over these thousands of years to guard this particular universe. So he like, yeah, whatever. So they continue to fight. And so all of a sudden he harnessed some particular power and he stabbed her. And so remember, because he had created in the physical realm, he had pretty much boxed them in to a wall with up, down, and two sides, and he was moving it around however he wanted to. So when he stabbed her, she fell out of the box and like fell off this real tall building. And in between that, before all of that happened off with him stabbing her, when they was fighting, the Rogue One was bending buildings and shit. It was just real crazy what he was doing with matter. So anyhow, she got stabbed and she wound up falling off this building and like hit the concrete ground. And so Dr. Strange and the teacher, the melanated man, had to go down there and pick her up. And now this is her in the physical body this time. So Dr. Strange rushes her to his hospital. And, of course, his old lady, Christine, again, he calls out for her. And this time they had a team of doctors in there. And so trying to save the Ancient One. So Dr. Strange thought he was going to be able to go in there and scrub up and jump up into surgery. And then his physical hands started shaking. So meaning you back in the 3D world. So the same doctor that he had humiliated earlier in the movie, who was working on the Abgula, he handed him the surgery tools and was like, man, you go for it, this, that, and the third. You a brilliant doctor, lotta. So that was his way of apologizing to Dude. So Dude was operating on her. Dr. Strange is standing there, and then he sees the Ancient One leave her body. He saw her astral project and take off. And so he saw where her physical body, she was dying. And he go, oh, crap. So he astral projects and follows her. And so he like, where you going? You giving up? This, that, and the third. And so she was like, no, I'm not giving up. I know that this is my time where I have to leave this physical realm. I have seen this particular part of my future for many, many times over. So I already know what it is. You know, my time is up here. And, you know, and I know you confronted me about harnessing powers from the dark side. You know, I have fought so many threats. I've saved so many threats. I don't know what to do. So, you know, this is where we're going to depart on this physical realm. But, you know, of course, we will see each other again. And so we're going into overtime, everyone. I don't see anybody on the board. So those of you on the phone, I know we're okay. So basically, he was, you know, sad that she was leaving the physical realm. But, you know, she was telling him, now do you know what your purpose is? And he was like, yeah, I get it. I know what my purpose is, this, that, and the third. And so she went on about her business. And so when he astral projected back into his physical body, she had wound up dying. So he talks to Christine again and thanked her for helping his friend out, this, that, and the other. So he jumps back into the realm of Comatose. So I'm sorry, not the Ancient One, the melanated man and the librarian. And I forgot to tell you all that the librarian is an Asian brother. So that's yet another ether. Okay, I want to say either 6 or 7 ether. I can't remember. So anyhow, so the Asian brother, the librarian, and the melanated teacher were there, and they were like, she's gone, isn't she? Yeah, she's gone. And then all of a sudden, Hong Kong, because remember, they are the guardians of these different portals. So the buzzer went off for the Hong Kong portal. And so the librarian jumped through because that's his portal. And so the teacher was like, man, we got to go here to help such and so, the librarian. So they jumped through the portal, and who is there but the Rogue One in them? So when they gets in the portal, the Rogue One and his crew had pretty much almost destroyed all of Hong Kong. I mean, they was just straight wrecking havoc. And so the melanated man said, it's too late. And so in the meantime, the Rogue One and his crew was walking towards Dr. Strange and the teacher. So they started fighting them. And Dr. Strange said, you know what? No, man, it ain't too late. So Dr. Strange had that third eye thingy around his neck. So he once again used that device, created that device with his hand, that time machine device, and he started reversing all that shit out, all of the destruction that the Rogue One and them was doing. And so the Rogue One and them was like suspended in slow motion. They couldn't do nothing because he was reversing all that out. So he reversed it all out. In the meantime, the teacher, the melanated man, standing there with his mouth open, and he like, man, you doing the same thing that the ancient ones doing. You just broke natural law, this, that, and the third. He was like, look, we don't have time to talk about this because he's gonna come back and start doing the same thing over again. So sure enough, after he had reversed everything up and cleaned it up, the Rogue One and them started coming back, started fighting them again. And so they had met up, the Rogue One, the teacher, and Dr. Strange. And the Rogue One was like, I'm finna take your butt out for good. And Dr. Strange said, oh, no, you not. Because you know what I'm finna do on you? I'm finna go to your boy, the Dark Force. And so the Rogue One was looking like, what? He said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm about to do. So he jumps up into the dimension where the Dark Force is, and when he jumped there, it looked exactly like a space galaxy with all of these gases. And so this Dark Force literally was like this dark cloud with these two eyes or whatever. He was like, Strange, what are you doing in my world? He said, I came to bargain. So the Dark Force goes, I dare you. You don't bargain with me. I'm getting ready to kill you. So he killed him. So Dr. Strange, bloop, 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 reversed it out again. And I forgot the name he called him. I have to look it up again and do a little etymology on it because I'm sure it means something. Dr. Strange said, I'm here to bargain. So the Dark Force was like, what? I thought I told you. Killed him again. He came back. Same thing. He did it about 6 or 7 times. And every time Dr. Strange came back, he said, I came to a bargain. So the Dark Force was like, what is happening to me? I will keep killing you. You will be enslaved. I will kill you over and over again. And so Dr. Strange said, yeah, that's true. But then that means that the people on the planet will be safe. He said, and guess what? I done just trapped you because you're going to have to spend all of your time keep killing me. And he was like, trap me? Yeah, I'm making you my prisoner. We going to keep doing this. We're going to do this for eternity. So now you are my prisoner. So the Dark Force was like, start going crazy. What? So he stabbing them. He keep coming back. And so finally he got it like, damn, I can't kill this MF. He said, what do you want? What do you want? He said, I want you to leave, take your minions with you, never to return again. If you don't do this, what I did to you, I created a loop. So just like you using your powers from your little world to wreak havoc on my world, well, I brought my power of time to your world. And I have trapped you in a time loop. And I'm going to keep you a prisoner until you accept these terms. So he was like, the Dark Force was like, hell no. So he was like, deal. So Dr. Strange went on back to Earth, and so the Rogue One, he said, yeah, I just bargained with your boy. What? Yeah, you out of here. You and your boy. So all of them started leaving the planet. And he said, and by the way, you are going to be trapped on them dark forces, that dark force side that you love so much. And so he starts screaming as he's being brought up to that particular dimension. He said, by the way, asshole, you should have read the whole book of time instead of just snatching that spell out, because you would have saw the after effects of you doing what you did, making that agreement with the dark forces. So he went on up, him and his boys, and then everything in the Hong Kong was restored. So the teacher, after all that happened, he was just still with his mouth open like, man, you broke natural law. You broke natural law, what you was doing. You weren't supposed to do that. And so Dr. Strange said, I did what I had to do. Yes, I broke the natural law of time in this realm, but I did what I had to do. And so the teacher, he was just upset. He couldn't get past the part that he had broke natural law, and he was like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to do this no more. And then he used that term again. The bill comes due. And it comes due with a reckoning. The price is a reckoning. And so the melanated teacher went on about his business, and then the next thing you know, you saw where Dr. Strange was back in New York. And it was showing him in that same building where he had fought off the Rogue One, and them showing where he was the protector now of that particular realm. And that's how the movie ended. So, so Brother Wendell, did you have something you want to put on it?
God, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to get that that movie, and it wasn't available on Amazon yet. So
No. You can try, what's that bootleg site? I'm not sure if it's on there.
I don't want no bootleg. I don't want no bootleg.
Yeah, because you do have to worry about viruses and all of that. But
yeah, I'm building a library of shit. I want.
Yeah, because I'll buy them too when they come out. So it'll probably be out next month on Amazon to buy. Because I'm pretty sure it's getting around to that time. So if anybody else, because now we're running on overtime, about 10 minutes over, press 1 to get in the queue. If not, we're definitely going to start winding down. So I really, really particularly loved this movie. I was just really surprised and shocked that they put pretty much everything on the table as it concerns to the spiritual world and astro travel. So I really, really loved that, how it talked about opening up the dimensions. It talked about, training in the spiritual world and what spiritual warfare is about. Because that's what the movie was about, spiritual warfare. And us as beings on this planet living in the physical have to realize that we are supposed to use that spiritual side, master that spiritual side, not only to help us do a lot of things in the physical world, specifically to create and manifest, but more importantly, to guard ourselves physically and to guard yourself spiritually. And what I loved about the movie, there was no particular savior in the movie. The savior was yourself. you were to learn from the teachers, the master teachers, but you have to do the work to get yourself spiritually strong, to be able to fight your spiritual battle. So that's the other big lesson I got out of the movie, and then also the concept of the different realms have different laws associated with them. The particular realm that we're in, we talk about natural law, and one of our laws are time. And this movie discussed how Dr. Strange was able to use manipulate in a way the laws of time by using basically his mind, because although they talked about the ritual spell in the book, the bottom line is, if you can look past what they're saying, it's really not about no book of spells. It's about you training yourself spiritually to be able to look into these other dimensions, look into the future, look into the past, know that you are in the present to get things done. So I found that interesting, and the fact that when he was faced up against the Dark Force entity, that he told the Dark Force, yeah, I finally wised up, blood, because just like you taught your boys to bring some of the Dark Force's powers to our realm, to dominate and wreak havoc, nah, I knew when I came to your realm, I brought some of my shit. How about that? And that's exactly what he did, because in the Dark Force realm, time was not a factor. But Dr. Strange brought from our particular dimension that element of time, and he looped it, meaning he could just make the same thing happen over and over and over again to trap him in that concept. So I found that very, very interesting in the movie as well. So with that said, that's all I had, Brother Wendell, unless you had something else. I don't see any more callers on the board.
Damn, it seems like everything is a fucking trap.
Yeah, and I just think that it was the main message I got out of the movie is that no matter what realm that you particularly go into, there's a trap there for you. Right. Well, there's a trap if you
don't know.
Exactly. If you don't know, but there's always a way out.
Yeah.
And so, in other words, we're in the age of, and to me, that's what this whole idea of ascension is about. We are in the age where we can pull not only from the other dimension, but we can bring our shit to their dimension. So no longer is it another entity has a leg up on you. That veil has been lifted, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So you still there, Brother Wendell?
Yeah.
Still there?
Yeah, you can't hear me?
Okay. Okay, so let me see.
Can you hear me?